Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately titled IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association, and as part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats. These are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. You can find all the Porch Play Chats by visiting our website at ipausa.org. Up in that top right-hand corner, like us on, I think it's like us on Facebook, and be a friend on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And what do we do with Instagram?
Just follow, like, and follow
us on Instagram. I mean, really, Facebook and YouTube are about the limit of my technological expertise. So I'm Deb Florence, and I'm president of IPA USA. With me on the porch today is Kristy DeGraaf. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Kristy owns the Learning Tree and is a coach and support to others who incorporate play into their programs. Kristy was awarded the National TLCCF Teacher of the Year award. And she has 4 children, and she's loving life in Southern Utah. And thank goodness it's a little cooler there because they've been pretty warm. So yeah. Kristy owns this amazing family childcare program. And so she's going to talk to us today about the hike club with after schoolers that she started. This just sounds fascinating. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, sure. So, okay. So I do family childcare. Anybody that does mix age groups knows that it's a lot of fun, and there are a lot of challenges that come with having infants to 10-year-olds, right? And so last summer, we were getting ready to go into a really particularly busy summer. And I had more school age kids than I've ever had. I think I had like 8 school age kids, which is a lot. And, so we decided we had to do something a little bit different, just because, you know, our environment is set up for mostly 0 to 5. And there are a lot of really cool things for them to do, but school age kids, they have so much energy and so much creativity, and they get bored. So we decided we were going to put together this hike club for our kids. I mean, first of all, we live in Southern Utah, which, if you don't know, it is a bucket list destination place. It's amazing. We live like an hour from Zion National Park, an hour and a half from Bryce National Park. Like, we live next to all these national parks, but a lot of our kids don't ever get the chance to go to the national parks, especially if they're maybe lower income. They stop doing the field trips there because they're so busy all the time. And so I decided to take matters into my own hands, and we started doing this hike club with our school age kids and taking them out and about in the natural wonders that we have here. So,
wow. And so how do you transport them there, and then you go on hikes, and like, what's the timing of the adventure? Because I love it.
So ideally, you know, I would love to, you know, get a bus or a bigger van or something. But right now, everybody kind of gathers in the morning. We have breakfast, make sure that, you know, they're all fueled up and ready for the day. And then my husband works here with me. And so depending on how many kids we have, we'll take one or both vehicles and have the day planned out. We, of course, let the parents know where we're going. And then we just get our bags packed up and head out on an adventure. Yeah, it was really cool this year. Actually, last year and this year, I have a vet that lives down the street from me, and he heard about what we were doing, you know, and I kind of was like, it's hard because some of the kids don't have shoes, and we don't have, you know, all the materials that we need. And he's donated both years to help us make sure everybody has shoes, everybody has the right gear and backpacks. And so we've kind of slowly been building up that collection. Yeah, and so we'll just get ready in the morning and then head out. Depending on where we are, it might be a 2 or 3 hour adventure. We have had longer adventures before, but typically we're back after the younger kids eat, but still like lunchtime, and then they eat here, and then they have some quiet time to play while the kids are napping, so they get a little bit of the space to themselves after that.
Oh, nice. And so when what are like their comments when they're going on these adventures? Because I think it's an amazing thing. It's like having your own summer camp, right? But going to a different place. And do you do it every day during the summer? Do you do it 3 times a week? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, the plan is to do it every day. This summer we got a little derailed with some health stuff. You know, I was sick for a lot of the summer, and so, you know, we have not been doing it as much as we would like this summer. But, you know, ideally it's 3 to 5 times a week, depending on our crew and our timing and what we have going on. And it's just, I mean, the really cool thing about it is it's really taking these kids and connecting them to the place where they live. Richard Louv talks about this, right? Like in Last Child in the Woods, about how children are losing their connection to the planet and to the earth, and like just not understanding or even knowing about how to care for it. And so what's really been cool is we've been doing this for over a year now, is having kids talk back about the places that we've been and wanting to go back to those places and learning about our particular environment. We've had twice now where we've seen rattlesnakes, which I know sometimes I kind of hesitate to talk about it on social media because I think people are going to freak out, but
no, it's in the nature. That's their home.
Right? Like, I mean, we live in a place where you could come across a rattlesnake in your backyard, theoretically, right? You could come across a rattlesnake. Like both of those have been just, you know, not very far outside of town. And so having the opportunity to take them out and to be with them and to have those sort of safety procedures in place that we have, right? Like my husband always hikes in the front. I always hike in the back. You know, we're in a straight line so we can kind of like be aware of our surroundings. And we're helping them know what to look for. And so then when we come across those, like we're able to help them learn how to be safe in those situations and be really aware of, you know, what's going on. It's just been really cool.
Well, and I think the beauty of all of that is that we're not wrapping them in cotton. We're taking them out into nature. Nature has many things that we need to be aware of. And you know how we had cousin camp with 8 cousins. I'm still recovering. And you know, one of my precious grandchildren truly does not know where he is anywhere. I mean, he knows where he is in space. He's very athletic that way, but he is not aware of his surroundings, and he's 8. And so it was wonderful how I would have to say, okay, look around, what are you seeing? And it helped him learn some tools. So what you're doing is helping them, what do you need to listen for, how you need to be aware of your surroundings, because anytime you hike in any natural setting, you need to be aware of your surroundings. And so these are great life lessons, relevant and meaningful to where they live, being able to go out and explore their environment without us having to be afraid that they're not going to be safety conscious. So, I mean, just the tools, the life lessons, I think.
And there's just no way there's no better way. I mean, we know, right? Like play, hands-on learning is the best way to learn things. And there is no way to explain to them some of these things and to really help them understand the danger, or, you know, the risks, or to assess their situation, right? Like we were out last week and we hadn't checked the weather first mistake, but we went out, we went to the place where we were going and we started hiking, and there was some clouds. But as we got further up in this hike, it started raining on us. We stopped, we waited. And then, you know, so we're talking to them about like what happens. And actually, like, it was interesting because this hike last year had a lot of flood damage. And so we could actually see the huge logs that had come down from these flash floods. And so we were able to have this conversation, and then we were able to actually be like, okay, like this, you know, to be watching the sky, to be watching our environment and say, okay, at this point, like this is where we feel comfortable and we're going to turn around and go back. Mm-hmm. And so that's like not something that most 8-year-olds are going to have access to, but think about the valuable tools for them to have seen that, to know the power of nature and to know, how to assess and to adjust their plans and to be flexible. I just think it's so powerful for them.
It most certainly is. And again, it's lessons that they can use in the future and things that they'll always be cognizant of around in their surroundings.
Yeah.
So when we think about being in nature and especially in summer when it's warmer and everyone has had warmer summers, how do we help them understand that they have to stay hydrated, and how did you help them? And I love that the veterinarian's helping to make sure that all the children have the proper equipment, but how have we walked through, what do we need when we're going on a hike? How are we going to carry it? What are we going to do with the trash if we've had a snack? All of those things that if we're going to be out in nature, we need to respect it. How are we handling all of that?
Yeah. And we talk to them about the principles of, leave no trace, right? Like every time we go out, we talk about that. But, there is the preparation that we have, right? Like everybody has a backpack, everybody has a water bottle, and we make sure that they have, good shoes. And then I have been carrying the snacks and taking care of those typically. But we just make sure that we're all prepared. We gather up, we go over the, like, here's what we're doing today. Does everybody have their stuff? They get to fill up their own water bottles so that they have some ownership and responsibility for that. Mm-hmm. And then when we're out, like, again, it's just that hands-on learning. Like when we stop to have snacks, we talk about making sure that we're aware of our space, that we're not leaving anything behind, and we double check that. And it's awesome because they actually get to the point where they remind us before we remind them about what they need to be doing. So,
and it's that repetition too, right? Because you do it, it's the same sort of process or routine each time, even though the locations may be totally different.
Yeah.
And so they're learning all those life lessons, and they're beginning to appreciate the nature that they live in. And boy, with all the kids who are more hooked on screens than they are on being outside, this is a really important way to approach summer.
Well, and it's interesting because when we first started this, and I don't know how all my play-based friends will feel about this, right? But I kind of made this mandatory for the school age kids. I was like, we have to go out. Like, we have to get out. We have to, get a change of scenery. And I didn't, I tried to like really approach it like, this is going to be a lot of fun. And this is what we're doing as a group. Right. Mm-hmm. But as we've gone along, they ask for it. Like, if we're not going out on a hike that day, they ask, like, can we go? Are we going today? Can we go tomorrow? Right. Like, they're sort of constantly asking when they can go. The other thing that's been really cool is since these are school age kids and the way our program is set up, we have most of them through the school year. And we have school that gets out early on Fridays. So throughout the school year, we've been able to go out on these adventures on Friday afternoons as well after they get out from school. And so it's really cool to go like back to the same walking path every year and see how, the river is changing when it's iced over, when in the spring, when it's really flowing a lot in the summer, when it's, less, and just to see all of the seasonal changes and for them to like get that exposure in real life, in real time, and to see how things change over time.
Wow, that is amazing. And so the other question I have is, when they come back, if they saw something on the hike that they were really interested in, how do we build on that interest with them? Like, I don't know, they saw the rattlesnake. Do they want to know what other kinds of snakes might be on the trails? Or how do those snakes take care of themselves when it's winter time? You know, any of those things that are, again, content, even
Yeah.
though what you're doing is so much content.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the cool thing. I mean, we have a lot of resources here. If I need to, I can, get resources either from the library or just ordering them. Like we've been noticing a lot of birds, for example, in our yard, and then also out and about. And so I got just like a bird watching book for kids and was reading that with them, and they were just like so interested because they have seen these and they know about these, and to be able to connect what they're seeing in real life and then learn more about it, it just means so much more to them than than if we just showed them a video and right, like
Oh, God. Please don't.
yeah.
Well, but the other thing that I'm hearing is they're learning that, I mean, just imagine being at the park and they're saying, oh, look, Mom, there's the blah, blah, blah. We saw one of those on our hike. And did you know they do blah, blah, blah? All of those rich nature-based experiences and knowledge that they're gaining that they can share with others to help them appreciate nature too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's beautiful. What a great idea. So do parents have to sign permission slips? I'm all about logistics, right? Do parents have to sign permission slips that say, if your child comes here this summer, this is what we're doing. These are our field trips, right? And then are they able, do you take a digital camera with you? Are they able to take photos and come back and share them with the preschoolers? Any of that? I'm just curious about all that.
Yeah. So I mean, our licensing rules, obviously we have to have permission to take kids off site. But it's just generally good practice, right? Like, so that the parents know exactly where they're going and what to expect. And so how we have been doing, last year we just did like a plan for the week and would have them sign every day for the week. This year I decided it was a little bit easier. I just have an app that we communicate parents with. So I just send them a note in the app and then say, please reply back so that we have this permission. And that works well. And then I also, like, it's a great way to help me to communicate like what has happened. So, with like the rattlesnake situation, right? I was like, I got to let the parents know about what we saw, so that they're not sort of like blindsided by this, like, oh, we saw this rattlesnake today and it was crazy. So, I just let the parents know when they come back. But yeah, we take lots of video, lots of pictures. Of course the rattlesnake video was really, really cool. But again, it's just a way for them to really like sort of connect into like, what do we do? I mean, and going back to the processes, right? We always review, okay, here's what we're going to do. Joey's going to hike in front. Kristi's going to hike in back. Let's hike this way. And then we can, obviously we stop. We try not to be like super rigid, but what happened with the rattlesnake is we'd gone and we'd seen these really cool, like, cave drawings. We had a place that had some cave drawings, right? So we're at this rock, we're looking at that. And then we decided we were going to walk around the rock. So Joe's hiking up front and we didn't even see it actually. Like, it was off to the side. We heard it before we saw it. Starts rattling. Like, kind of like took a second to figure out what's going on. But then, I just pulled everybody back and Joe kind of stayed up there to just like make sure, make sure that he had an eye on it. But then I was able to say to them, like, this is why we have these rules, right? Like, this is why we have these guidelines and these boundaries. And this is why we're always super aware of our space and what we're doing. And this is like, there's no other way to learn that lesson. Right. Like, no. I could talk till I was blue in the face about, when you're out in the desert, you might find a rattlesnake, but until they like hear it and see it, it's never going to sink in.
Oh, that's what's so beautiful about it, because you heard it before you saw it. And we know that snakes don't want they're going to run, right?
Yeah.
They only rattle when they feel like I grew up in South Texas, so
Yeah.
we had tons of rattlesnakes. They only rattle when they feel threatened as a sort of warning to everyone. So that's what you do. You stop.
Yeah, we're just backed up. I was like, okay, you can hear me in the video because my husband was taking some video of the snake. I was like, okay, everybody just come on. It's fine. Let's just come back here. Come back to this Kristi. You know, like, you can hear me sort of like talking them through it and trying to like make sure that I'm, you know, like not you know, kind of just freak. Because we did have a child or two that had a minute where they were like really nervous about it, right? And I mean, it was scary for some of the kids, but like,
but that's not a bad thing, right?
yeah,
It's not a bad thing that they recognize that when you're out in these beautiful spaces, this is their home, and you're the intruder.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Here's the things that you need to be listening for and watching for, and you need to really be aware of what's around you. So all of those are fabulous lessons. And because you were calm, I may not have been quite as calm because I have a phobia of snakes. I blame my biology teacher in high school who chased me down the hallway with a snake because I would not touch it.
Oh,
it's awful. So I have a horrible phobia of snakes. But it's part of life and part of nature. So those life lessons that you're teaching them, I think is beautiful. Kristi, this has been amazing. I think it's a great idea. Especially it doesn't matter where you live.
No.
There's beauty around you. There are national parks or there are local parks that have a lot of, you know, trails and things that children can explore. And what a fabulous adventure to go to different places and to really value the environment that you live in. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to wrap up and say that's the thing. I mean, it was sort of like motivated because we live in the middle of 5 national parks, right? But most of our hikes are not in the national park. One of the most popular adventures that we have gone on is like 3 blocks from our house. We have just some, you know, ground that hasn't been developed yet. And we just hiked up this hill and sort of like explored, you know, the empty lots in between all the houses. And that, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to live where the national parks are. Just getting kids out and connected to their space, I think is just crazy valuable for them.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Okay, don't go anywhere while I close this up. So to learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.